Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is Drama Free Friday at HowToGetCreative.com show on YouTube live. I hear some giggling in the background. I wonder who that could be. You guys are going to be so surprised. Hello, everybody. Hi, Petka and Deb, and this is the Romper Room roll call, people. Just put up with it, okay? Just put up with it. Mika and Allie and Deborah and Scribble Artie and oh, Deb, I meant to email you back. I got your email, and yeah, that was great. I'm glad you got it. Glad you liked it. So it's great to see everybody. Come on in and get your seat. And we have a special guest today, which I'll be introducing in a few minutes here after we chit chat for a minute. And I have some illegal fluids because, you know, this has got to go away because we know what can happen. In case you were watching Inkwell the other day, she splashed some coffee in her laptop, and yeah, that's why we don't have illegal fluids without lids on the table, right? Thanks, Deb. You forgave me. Oh, thank you. Yes. Let's see. Hi, Paul. Nice to see you. We're getting a few men that are coming to the group, and so that's nice. Hi, Ina. Hi, Miriam. No, Deb. No, we're not doing. That is one thing I can't juggle. Along with everything else going on around here today, we can't juggle illegal fluids. We can only drink some and put them off to the side. That's all we can manage. I mean, I do pretty well, but I have my limits, people. I have my limits. I really do. So how's everybody today? Tell me first of all where you're from in the world and how your day is going. And, you know, hopefully it's good because it is drama-free, right? It is Drama-Free Friday around here after all, which means that we leave all the junk outside the studio, we leave the controversy outside the studio, and we leave the trolls outside the studio. Just saying. So Deb's drinking along with me. Okay. Hi, Lynn. Hey, Ruth. Ruth is enjoying a cup of fennel tea. I wonder where she got that. Happy mail from someone. I heard a little whisper about that. Maybe someone will confess to that in a little bit. Let's see, who else? Yvonne. Heatwave. Yeah, Heatwave. Hey, CB. CB's day is going. I understand. Mr. Victor, for goodness sakes, how are you? I haven't seen Mr. Victor in forever. Good to have you here. Hi, Lisa. Oh, this is fun, just having everybody come in. I'm just going to let it just kind of calm down. Hi, Linda. There's Linda McAllister. And Never Hopeless. She's in South Florida. Never, what is your name? Never Hopeless. That's a good handle. That's a good handle. I like that. Yeah, Miriam's in Israel, and she's having a very creative day. Cool. Hey, Lori Richardson. Haley, nice to have you join us. And is it Ash? Well, we got some new names coming in here. These must be some. And there's another Linda. And Carol. We must have some people coming and joining us because of the special guest today. Because I know for a fact that she was spreading the word, which I appreciate, because it's always fun to have new folks here. So anyway, in case some of you didn't know, I didn't really introduce myself. I'm Barb. If you've never been here before, I'm Barb Owen of HowToGetCreative.com. And at How to Get Creative, you will find a membership website, as well as there's a blog there that has videos on it and all different kinds of things, blog posts and photos and stuff. But there's a membership website, and it's a class membership. And so there's all different kinds of creative arts classes there. So I invite you to check it out at some point if you'd like to, and try it out. Never Hopeless says she loves me some cat hand. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Carol TMT. And who else is that? Narda. Narda, I don't know if I'm saying your name properly, but she says she watches a lot, but she's a quiet lurker. That's okay. We don't mind if you're quiet lurking. It's okay. We just are glad you're here. You guys spread the word, so there might be thousands. Okay, cool. In that case, we may have to, Claus, it's a good thing Claus Man is watching from another computer because he may have to be the moderator. And hopefully Race Man will show up here in a little bit too. That would be good. All right, let me get rid of the illegal fluids because I've chatted on long enough, and then we'll see if we can get crack-a-lackin', okay? So I'll be right back. Got to put my ears back on. So any of you that are new, I appreciate you being here and welcome. I hope you enjoy being around. And I do this every Friday at this time, 2 p.m. Eastern. It's a live show with mostly live people. And you never know what we're going to do, but we do this whole series called Creative Chats. And so that's what's going to be happening today. We have a creative chat going on with the amazing artist known as Cat Hand, and I'm sure many of you know who she is. And so I have just gotten acquainted with Cat. Actually, it's funny, the other day we had to test things out, which, by the way, this is all done live, so if something goes askew, you will just have to hang with the program here and be patient, and we will work through. If we have to work through some uglies, we'll work through some uglies. But fingers crossed that doesn't happen, that the gremlins stay far, far away from Drama Free Friday. Anyway, we do these creative chats, and the other day we were checking the technology to make sure everything was kind of working for us, you know. And I'm thinking, well, we'll probably just chat for 20, 30 minutes. I think we were chatting for 2 hours or something like that. It was just we had more fun. It was like we'd known each other forever. So yeah. All right, so here we go. I'm going to introduce to you the very fun and very cool Miss Cat Hand. So let me bring her up here. Now, everybody keep your fingers crossed that I do this correctly, okay? Because sometimes I screw up the technology end of things. 'Cause there's a lot of moving pieces here. All right, here we go. Ta-da! There is Miss Cat Hand. Hello. Oh, look at her. Wait a minute. I'm going to show you her. I'm going to show you. Okay, look at her. That is Cat Hand. Welcome, Cat. Yeah, there's Cat. Oh, it's so nice to have you. They're clapping for you.
Sorry, I had to do that.
You did. You just had to. I know.
That's my tribute to Shannon Green.
Yeah. Shannon should be here, shouldn't she?
She will be, I hope.
Oh, that's fun. I hope she does too. Okay, now I'm going to try, let me tell the audience, I'm going to try to keep my voice down a little bit because my sound system may, talk much louder than Cat. And so if I get too loud, you guys need to remind me to just bring it down a little bit, Barb, so that we're going to try and keep everything nice and even if possible. So everybody sing hello to you. And your internally clean workplace, Cat.
Oh, so. Yeah, I cleaned up because I knew company was coming.
Knew company was coming. Yeah. I didn't clean up at all, and company's here every week. Take me as I am. So anyway,
normally all of this is covered.
Is it? Okay. That makes
everybody only sees this right here, this section right here when I'm filming. So.
Well, I'm going to have to tell you that makes me feel better. Yeah. It truly does. It makes me feel better.
Not lying. And it's all piled in the corner right over there right now.
That's so great. I love that. And I know you're not going to turn the camera around and show us that corner, are you?
No, because then we'd never get back to this. So.
That's right. That's true. That's true. Well, thank you so much for joining me and being here with everybody. I can't tell you how excited I was to, first of all, get you in front of the camera.
Yeah, I know. It's not really my thing, and it might not happen very often, but
That's okay.
I'm really happy to do this. This is a nice break into it, having you to chat with. So
Oh,
that's
thank you.
helpful.
I'm
Helpful for me. So
yeah.
thank you.
It does seem to make it a little easier when you have somebody to talk with instead of just having
Right.
to do it all. I was telling Kat earlier about my first video experience when we got it all. This was years ago, and we were trying to get this thing launched and trying to figure out how to do it and all of that. And we had everything set up, and I was nervous, obviously, because it wasn't under the current conditions that I'm filming now. It was much more formal, and got everything ready to go. And the camera started rolling, and the first thing I did was burst into tears. So you can't you can't possibly top that, Kat. You can't possibly.
I promise not to burst into tears. I hope. And my illegal
Okay.
fluids are covered. I have a lid.
That's good. Well, you can spill at your place. It's okay.
No, no, no. It's not okay.
Okay, let's see. I we will get to that. Miss Allie Kay wants to know about streaming. We will hopefully cover that as we go through. So anyway, okay, we're going to get started. So I have a couple questions for you, and then we're actually going to
Okay.
do some art while we chat along. Does that sound good to you?
Sure.
Chat people. Chat people. Does that sound all right with you? If we talk for a minute, and then we do some art together. Does that sound okay? Chat's going fast. All right, they're saying they thought that was okay. So, all right,
Yay.
okay. So, one of the first things I want to know is what are your memories about creativity as a kid?
I was always creative as a child. My mom was very much into, just your general everyday artwork kind of thing. She encouraged me and my siblings to color and draw, and she herself painted with acrylic paint. She would sketch an image. Basically, usually she was copying something she saw in an art book, or even in a magazine or something. She would just sketch it out and then use acrylic paints and paint. And I can remember a lot of times seeing that easel up in the house, and her. Usually, she was in the kitchen,
So she
and
even
she would.
had her own easel.
I think my dad built it. Yeah, yeah. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, and she made do with whatever she had, and most of the things that she needed or that we needed were made, like my clothes and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So she taught me. She taught me how to sew. She taught me to crochet
Wow.
and to embroider. She uh, made sure that we had color books and crayons every year at Christmas. We got a brand new box of 64 crayons with a sharpener in the back.
A new box. Okay, let's just take a moment. Let's just take a
Yeah.
moment, people. A brand new box of 64 crayons with the sharpener in the back every
I
year for
have it.
Christmas
And a
with
stack of coloring books.
coloring books too. So
Yeah.
how long did that go on? Like at what age did
Um,
that stop?
it went on for years and years. And I think that I was probably a preteen, maybe 11 or 12, maybe the first year Santa didn't bring us coloring books and crayons, and we cried. We were so used to getting that at Christmas, and we were highly disappointed. I think Santa probably thought that we had outgrown that phase.
But clearly you had not.
No, we hadn't.
Are you tempted today to go and buy the adult coloring books?
I have bought several. I haven't colored in any of them yet, but I have picked out a few, and I've got them on a shelf over here, waiting for me to get to that point. I'm so busy doing so many other things that a lot of times it's hard to find time to do all the things you want to do. I got a list, not a physical list, but in my head, I've got a list of a gazillion things I want to do.
But that sounds
So
like that was a really good memory for you, getting a new box of crayons and color book.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
every year, and we were thrilled with that. And we sat on the floor and colored, and for
That's
hours on end we colored.
that's so
I,
great.
I have one specific coloring book page that I remember so clearly,
Uh-huh.
and it was a Wizard of Oz coloring book, and there was a picture in there of the Emerald City. And I took every shade of green out of the box of 64 crayons and colored that Emerald City.
Oh, that's
in
cool.
all of those shades of green. And I clearly remember it to this day. And I think I was probably, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 or something at the time.
So did any of those coloring pages or coloring books survive and
No,
still live with you? No. Yeah. But the
no,
memories do.
unfortunately not.
The
Yeah,
memories
the
do.
memories are there. And
Yeah, that's
so
wonderful.
that's cool. Yeah.
So when we were chatting the other day, you told me something that I thought was going back to kind of your mother's influence on you.
Hmm.
You told me about going trick or treating. Would you tell the audience about that?
Yeah, like I said, we didn't have a lot of money, and so we didn't get that much candy when I was a kid. And we did get an allowance when I was a kid. We got a dime, okay.
Yep.
But back then, you could go to the store, like the corner store. You know, how you used to have the little
Yep.
mom and pop stores on the
Mm-hmm.
corner, and you could get 10 pieces of candy for that dime because
Yep.
it used to be penny candy. Remember?
Yeah, I do. I do.
And yeah, I'm sure there's people out there listening who know exactly what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did occasionally get candy, but not like what we brought home when we went trick or treating. And so we didn't have a lot of money, so we didn't get the little plastic pumpkin, that you carry and collect the candy in. So my mom would give us paper grocery bags. There weren't any plastic grocery bags back then.
Yep.
They were all the paper bags. And she would roll the top down and we would carry this grocery bag.
Mm-hmm.
And one year in particular, I don't remember that she did this any other year but this one. But for me and my younger brother and sister, she took that grocery bag and she drew a Halloween scene that went from one side and all the way across the width of the bag.
Mm.
And I remember a moon and the sky and maybe a witch, and I can't remember exactly, maybe pumpkins and stuff, but there was a whole scene, and she drew that on each one of our three kids.
So were they the same
Bags.
scene? The same scene on each
Um,
one?
I don't remember that. I
Okay.
think they were probably the same, and if not, they were similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a very vivid memory in my head. It's not vivid as in remembering exactly, but the fact that she did it, I guess, is what stands out,
That's
in my brain.
that's such a sweet memory too.
Yeah.
That she would take the time. I mean,
Hmm.
most moms that have multiple children, I won't say most moms, I'll say a lot of mothers who have multiple children just want to get the thing done. It's like give
Exactly.
the child a bag so they can go do the thing because the kids are excited. But to take the
Yeah.
time and color a scene on the outside of the bag, I just think that is remarkable. So,
She drew it all out freehand, and then
what did she
colored
do
it
it
in.
with?
She actually used crayons.
Did she?
Yeah,
That's great.
she actually
So,
used
do you
crayons.
have any art pieces from your mom?
I do. I brought one out just because I wanted to show everybody what where I guess if I have any talent, it comes from my mom.
If,
Because,
if,
well,
okay, people in the chat, do you guys think if is the word? No, no.
yeah, she painted this for me one year for my birthday. I want to say it was maybe in the early '90s, and she loved birds, and I think it's very special because she did not know at this time how much of a love of birds I would have
Yeah.
as I got older.
Hmm.
And I truly love wild birds. And
That
so
is
whenever I see bluebirds now, I think of my mom.
That is absolutely stunning. As I look at that and I see, and everybody in the chat is going, the chat just went like this. It just went, zoop, as everybody is talking about, wow, that's beautiful. Let me just read some of the comments.
Okay.
Well, somebody says cat can do anything. So there you go.
Aw, sweet.
Beautiful, so pretty. Wow, that's beautiful. Nice, very pretty. That's so nice and sweet. So lovely. Sweet, beautiful, beautiful, so pretty. I mean, it goes on and on. So, yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I think she can hear. I think she can hear that.
But when you look at that, hold it up there just a second. When I look at that and I see the depth of the leaves, the background leaves and the middle ground and the foreground leaves and the depth of the roses and all of that, it's really a stunning painting.
Yeah, I love it too.
She had to have very good a very good grasp of observation in order to
Right.
even do that. And
I think so. And
it's
she didn't have any classes that I'm aware of, but she did have some art books. I do remember that she had some art books.
okay. And
And
that's all
so,
acrylic, correct?
yes, this is
Yeah.
acrylic.
That's really, yeah, awesome, cool, nice. Those are,
Thanks.
yeah, what a treasure. So those are all
Yes,
cool
it
things. Oh,
really
thank
is.
you so much for sharing that with us. That is
My pleasure.
wonderful. That is great.
Thanks, my pleasure. I enjoy sharing what she did, and she did a lot of things. She painted gifts for people for when she needed a gift for someone, she would paint something for them. And
That's great. But,
yeah,
and what a special gift, you know. She was
absolutely.
she was doing handmade things before it was cool, right?
Exactly. And I never knew how much that would mean to me because I wasn't painting. When she did this, I wasn't painting. I had no interest in painting. All the
Yeah.
time that I was growing up and she was painting, I had absolutely no interest in it. I loved trying to draw. I tried to copy things, and draw. And so I did have some practice drawing. And she got us color by numbers, paint by numbers.
Yep.
And I remember painting a couple of those
Okay.
paint by number kits with the little tiny pots of
Yep.
paint,
Yep.
that come with them.
Yep.
And but I never really had any interest in it at all. So now today that means the world to me
Yeah.
because I understand it now. I
Yeah.
know what she was doing and I know what she was feeling. You know, when
And
she
you
was
said
creating.
and you said she had an easel that you thought that probably your dad created
Built,
for
yeah.
her. That
Yeah.
that's really
For
nice
sure.
too. What a nice memory. That's just great. And so how did you start messing around with paint since that wasn't your thing?
Yeah. Because I saw some videos. I
Gosh.
saw YouTube videos.
Uh-huh.
Um, we moved away from where I'm from for years because of my husband's job, and so we were gone for a long time. And during that time, I started making scrapbook pages and things, cards and things that I was selling at my eBay store. And then,
So
of course, this
you were selling what at your eBay store?
scrapbook pages
Okay.
and cards.
Okay. Scrapbook pages and cards. Okay.
And some like scrapbook albums. People would ask me to make albums for them, and so I was doing stuff like that. And that was keeping me busy because I was living away from home, um, from my hometown, um, and I was, all alone during the day in a new place. And we moved like 3 times during this 11-year period. We moved like 3 times, so I needed something to occupy my time, and that's what I did. I was kept busy doing that. And so somehow or other, that led to maybe looking online at scrapbooking ideas or something like that, got me over to seeing some mixed media artists. And so, and all of that happened just before we moved back to Florida. I was finding some people online, on YouTube that I really enjoyed watching. And Rachel Black was one of them, and Vicky from Greece. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Starts with T.
Yeah.
Y'all know who I'm talking about.
Papa. Yeah, it's a name that's this long.
Papa something or other.
Yeah.
And I love Vicky. I love her art. I love her art journal pages especially. And I loved watching Rachel, watching Christy Tomlinson, and I mean, just a handful of people. Then I found Lori Haley, was watching her.
And
all
Lori's
these,
in Lori's in the audience today.
Oh, yeah, good, Lori. I'm glad you're there. Um, so I started watching, these videos and really thinking, well, that looks like so much fun. And then suddenly all of the scrapbooking thing got shoved to the side.
Yeah.
And then I was fully invested in creating mixed media art. So I've only been doing this for 3 years. I started doing
Wow.
mixed media art in 2013. And I just love it. I absolutely love it. And then I decided, wow, maybe I could make a video. I never, ever, ever had that thought in my head before. Never. I'm not one to be on camera or anything, obviously.
I just want to know that. I just want to know that moment where you had that thing that's, wow, maybe I could make a video. Did that just like come out of the blue? Or
Yes.
Did
out
it?
of the clear, clear blue.
It's like someone came over and whacked you on the head and said, "Ye shall make a video now," right?
Exactly, exactly. And I said, what? And
Yeah.
they said, yes, you're going to make a video and you're going to figure it all out all by yourself, how to do all the technical stuff, how to edit a video. I had never, ever done that before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how to film it, how to create it, how to speak on it, I mean, I knew none of that stuff. And I was totally floored when that idea just kind of popped into my head like a light bulb, kind of thing. So yeah, I was stunned.
And so the day arrived when you actually decided to film your first video. So can you tell me what that first video? I'm sure it's indelibly etched in your memory as to what it was. What was the subject of that?
I was making a birthday card for my sister.
Okay.
Hi, Patty. I don't know if you're in the audience. She saw my post on Facebook in the group, so she
Nice.
might be watching. I don't know if she's in the chat, but she might be watching.
Okay.
Made her a card for this first video.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I didn't speak in the video at all. I just figured out how to film it and do a time lapse. So I speeded up the whole thing and probably like 4 times sped up and just went through my process.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that was the first video.
Mm-hmm.
And then the interesting thing that happened with that is that I realized at the time, right after it went up, I realized I had uploaded it to the wrong, account.
Mm-hmm.
I uploaded it to the wrong account. At the time that I did my first video, I had an account called Handy Scraps,
Mm-hmm.
which was the name of my eBay store.
Okay.
And so I called it Handy Scraps. Well, I had created the Cat Hand channel to get ready for the new video, but when I uploaded to YouTube,
Went the wrong spot. Yeah.
I accidentally uploaded it to Handy Scraps, and I was like, that's not what I wanted to do. Well, when I realized it was because I had suddenly had a bunch of subscribers, and all these people were talking about how they liked this card I was making out of a jelly print and stuff. And
Did that surprise you that people liked
totally. Well, it just surprised me totally that anybody had seen it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I was like, I wasn't even out there. Nobody knew me or who I was, and so I had this video, getting all these comments and stuff, and then realized that, and I think my friend Kat, might be watching too. Hey, Kat. I think she said to me or sent me a message and said Jelly Arts had posted my video on their Facebook page.
Well,
Maybe because I mentioned that I was making it out of jelly prints.
so
I don't know.
okay, so let me get this straight. So everybody gets this picture. It was your first video that you never really intended to do, but somebody said, do a video. So you do your first video. It's a card for your sister, and it's made of jelly prints, and it's put on the wrong channel, and somehow on the wrong channel, the Jelly Arts people found it and posted that link on their blog and talked about it.
Exactly. And then that's why people saw it. That's why people were seeing it, and they were loving this video that I had made. It was the very first thing I'd ever done. I'm totally shocked. And then I'm freaking out because it's on the wrong channel, and I don't want all these people subscribing. If they're going to subscribe, please subscribe over here to this channel that I intended for my art.
Yeah, to the right place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then I had to make a little video and, just a black screen with white words on it that said, if you're looking for a video, of a card made with jelly prints, it's been moved over to this channel.
Debbie Boring says, divine intervention.
I'm telling you. It was divine,
great.
all right, because
That's
it wasn't
great.
none of my doing.
That is great. And so the rest, as they say, is history. You just kind
Exactly.
of got started.
Yeah.
So we're going to fast forward just a sketch, and then I'm going to ask you some more questions probably as we go through here. But the thing I want to talk about for a second is this idea that you got along about December or January, and it ended up turning into mixed media morsels. And I think that there are lots of, unless you're hiding under a rock someplace, which, there's I get told that a lot, and I apparently do live under a rock because there's a lot of things I've never heard of. But I have heard of mixed media morsels. And so that came into being because why? Tell me about that.
Well, I realized after making videos for a year and a half, year and 3/4, I realized that people were, asking a lot of the questions about the basics in mixed media. And so I just had a little idea and thought, well, maybe I could do a video series that would cover some of the basic techniques that we do in mixed media art. And it could be for beginners, and it could be for intermediate people, and it could be for advanced people, just for fun. Because as we all know, no matter what place you are in mixed media art, it's fun regardless.
Yeah, it is.
And yeah, so I just got this just a little idea. That's all it was, just a little thought that flitted through my head.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it just flitted through my head, and I mentioned it to my husband, and I said, I just want to do these little things because I've got this little book. You guys remember I had that little tiny mini composition book.
It started with a little tiny book to make little tiny things, huh?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I could take this little tiny mini composition book, and I was just so excited thinking about how it could look so cool when you flip through it, and all these colorful pages full of mixed media art would be in it. And I thought the original thought was that I'd like to just do that for me, just fill up this book with all this. And then I thought, well, maybe I could make it into a series, and maybe everybody else can make a little book too. Mm-hmm. And so it was just a little thought. And so I said, well, maybe I could do, something that means little bits of something, since it's a small book and we'd just be doing little small pieces. And so I asked my husband, what do you think? So he said, let me think about it. And then he went and sat down in front of the TV.
Yeah,
it's like the end of that.
It's like this. They look at you and go, mm-hmm, nice, honey.
But he really did think. He really was thinking, because he did give me an idea. I don't remember now what it was, because I was too excited when I realized what I wanted to do. But he did try, and he did give me a name. But I had already gone to the thesaurus and looked for other words that could mean, bits or tidbits or, something like that. And that's when I came across the name of Morsels. And then when I got Morsels, and I realized, mixed media and Morsels, that's perfect. It all goes together,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
so it was just a tiny idea, and I put it out there thinking, I'll just see what anybody says.
Uh-huh.
It was at the tail end of one of my videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I'll do. I'll just see. And if it sounds like a couple people want to do it, maybe I'll do that. Mm-hmm. Well, the floodgates opened. And once again, I was stunned and had no clue that was going to happen.
Now, I understand that that from that came a Facebook group. Is that right? That came after you started filming the videos. So
Another
Facebook
thing I was intending to do.
There were just a whole lot of things that you weren't going to do that you ended up just not having a choice about, right?
I tell you what.
Yeah.
What is it called when it rolls and gets bigger? What is that called?
I don't know, but I know what it is, but I don't
like
have a name for it either. Yeah, the snowball. Yeah, it started and it just takes on a life of its own. I know I know how that feels. Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yep. So, so you started a Facebook group.
Yes.
And so how big is your Facebook group at this point as we're filming?
I don't know the exact number, but it's over 5,500 people.
That's a lot of people.
Yes, it's crazy.
And what's really nice about that is that you are, I think you're giving a lot of people permission to explore mixed media that wouldn't have done it before, because that mixed media morsel concept takes them, it's like small chunks, little bites. Mm-hmm. And so it's not hard when you do a little bite. It's overwhelming when it's like, sit down and take an 11 by 14 journal and make a journal page. That's overwhelming for me, let alone for someone who's never played around with this stuff before. So I think what you're doing is Let me just say I'm glad that you did that. I'm glad you paid attention to that. I'm glad you did that because I think you've done a really great service to many people, and I'm encouraging Kat to follow that up with some other things in the future. So I'm going to stay on her about that. I won't tell you what it is yet, but I'm kind of nudging her a little bit in a different not in a different direction, just another direction.
Another direction.
Yeah, another direction, a complementary direction. So a minute ago, Jan Terry said in the chat that she wanted to tell you that it was so nice to have a face to put with the voice, and that she loves what you do. So I just wanted to say that because she was at work and was going back to work. So I wanted to make sure I said that. So there's tons of things rolling by in the chat that are saying how much they like the mixed media morsels. So that's really cool. So speaking of mixed media morsels, we thought that we would play with a few mixed media morsels today, and just we're just going to have fun with it. We're just going to see what happens and have some fun. So
amazing how dry your throat gets when you're nervous.
Or just when you're talking a whole lot, I mean, that's why I always keep something over here to drink, because truly it's amazing when you're just talking all the time or any of that.
Yeah.
But you're just doing great, so you don't need to be nervous because you're doing great. Okay, so tell me what your thought is. I just pulled out a few things, and those of you watching in the live audience, if you'll look under the video window, you'll see a description box. You may have to open it up, but in the description box, I put a couple of things. There's a list of the things that we thought we might use today, and also there's a list of places that you can contact Kat on her social media links. So those things are in the description box below the video. And when you're watching the recording, I will edit that and have, the appropriate information in there too. So anyway, okay, what do you think we should do?
Okay, I was thinking we might make some of the little posies.
Okay.
That we did in morsel number...
something,
20-something.
Yeah. So we're going to do some posies.
or something. I don't know. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. We don't care. We don't care if we know the number.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're looking for the video, it's going to be down in or depending on how it looks on your YouTube channel, on your YouTube screen, it's one of the more recent ones in the 20s.
Okay.
But I'm just using a piece of white cardstock.
Okay.
And to make, I thought we'd make a card.
Okay.
5x7 card is what I'm doing. If you guys want to play along, you can, and you can do any size you want. Any size card you want.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to recycle a piece of watercolor paper that's got something on it. So I'm going to use the back side of it. So we'll just see what happens. If it doesn't turn out well, I'll cut it up and use it for something else.
That's right.
Okay.
Everything looks good cut up in small pieces. Even if it looks horrible as a whole.
You are so right about that. And I just filmed a class that's going to go up on the website that has exactly that concept. Exactly that concept. I was using some ugly fabrics and some ugly papers that I'd made that were not worth having for, any earthly purpose. And I cut them up and used them in different ways. And you are absolutely right. So if it doesn't work, don't throw it away. Cut it up and use it. Okay.
One of my favorite things to do is cut it up, make it small, or do it on like labels. I talked about painted labels.
Yeah.
Peel off the labels, and it's just like little miniature pieces of art. Yeah. Love that. So.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So I'm using some book text.
Okay.
And I'm going to scrape some paint colors, some different colors on some different pages.
Okay.
To make my flowers out of.
Okay.
So I'm going to use a credit card to scrape paint on. You can use a paintbrush or your fingers or a brayer. If you want to, put a little paint on a brayer, you can roll it on, whatever you want to do. And so I'm going to start with that. I'm putting my card base aside so it doesn't get covered.
Okay.
I have to put my little specs on so I can see what I'm doing.
So what kind of colors are you thinking about using?
I'm using fall colors today.
Okay.
when I did this for the morsel, it was just other bright colored flowers. And I mean, not that these won't be bright, some of them might be, but I'm intentionally doing fall this time. So that was my thought.
So are you thinking about putting different colors on the different pages?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do one page with a excuse me, with a color for the background. And
Okay.
then I'm going to put some other colors on the other pages to tear the flowers out of.
Okay. That sounds fun.
That's my thought.
Okay, I'm going to use some distress paints because I have some and I haven't been using them for very much. So I'm going to use some distress paints and we'll see what
Okay.
happens. So after I get something done on mine, I'll show you what I'm doing and then we'll look at what you're doing. And
Okay.
so that'll
Right
be
now,
fun.
what I'm doing is cleaning my fingers because when I open the bottle, I squeeze paint all over me.
Well, good. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one that does things like that.
Yep, I did it. You were here and saw it in person.
Well, I missed it because I was looking down.
It'll be on the recording.
That's right. I'll go back and watch.
It'll be out there forever.
Yes, it will. That's the good part about it. The uglies just stay there forever.
And the face I made to go along with it will be
Uh-huh.
there too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Barb, I even got a new rag out in your honor.
Oh,
a new paint rag.
a virginal paint rag. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I don't know. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
And wet ones are your friend.
Yeah. Wet ones. Okay, wet ones. And do you use baby wipes or just the wet ones?
I just use wet ones usually.
And why do you prefer wet ones over baby wipes?
I don't know.
Just-
There's no reason really.
Okay.
No reason. And while I'm talking about preferences,
Yes.
if I might,
Absolutely.
I'd like to say that a lot of people ask me about Mod Podge and Collage Podge
Mhm.
and why I use both.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, and I've answered people when they've commented and they ask me that question. I've answered them. But for anybody who's wondering and hasn't asked me, it's not. There's no reason really. I just use. I've got them both here. I bought them both to try to see which one I liked, and I like them both just fine. And I don't pick one over the other one for any reason other than there's a minor thing to me. A couple of minor things maybe. Mod Podge has a stronger smell to me
It does.
than the
No
Collage
doubt.
Podge.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a strong smell.
Uh-huh.
So that's one thing. And then the other thing is the Mod Podge, even the matte. I only use matte. I've got some glossy Mod Podge, but it smells worse than the matte.
If that's possible.
It's horrendous. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I mainly use matte for top sealing coats, stuff. But even the matte has a little bit of a shine to it. And so I use that if I do want a little bit of a shine, I'll use that. The Collage Podge is almost the same, but it's more satiny, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
More of a satin finish.
Yeah.
And not really shiny,
Okay.
but you can tell it's there. So those are the only two differences really. They're about the same basically, and there's no reason I would say, oh, don't use that, use this. I wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great.
Thought I'd throw that in there.
Good information. It's always nice to know why somebody does what they do.
Yeah.
So that's great.
And it's just my opinion, my use of it, too. It means other people may feel differently about it. So, but if you want to know why I do it, that's why.
Well, we all have opinions because of the stuff that we do. We get comfortable with different things, and I think it's always good to know why someone likes a certain thing, because
Right.
then you'll turn around and you'll find somebody else that likes the exact opposite, And I think it's I just think it's always fun to know why people do what they do, why they choose what they choose.
Right. It's true because you may find a technique or a cool reason,
Yeah.
that they do that you wouldn't have known otherwise,
Okay, Ian in the chat wants to know what is Mod Podge? It's do you want to answer that? What Mod Podge is?
I don't really know scientifically. That's another thing I've told people. I have no idea scientifically what's in it. But what I understand is that it is basically like glue and water, only it has a varnish added.
Okay.
Which is what causes it to be a sealant. If you have glue and water that you've made,
Yeah.
And, a lot of people consider that homemade Mod Podge, but it really isn't Mod Podge unless it has some varnish in it.
So, and
So,
it started out as just as a decoupage product, didn't it? Isn't
yes,
that
I
what
think
it was,
so.
what it was designed to be used for?
I think so.
I pronounced it right, she said.
Huh?
Well, people say Mod Podge
Oh,
or Mod Podge, and there's a
yeah.
big,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a it's a fun discussion, about those of us who get into the way we like words to be pronounced and so forth.
Yeah.
Ian wants to know if Mod Podge was like a PVA glue. Well, it's it's more like a PVA glue on steroids. It's
Yeah.
got a little bit more stuff in it. So anything that you could use the Mod Podge for, and let's see, how do we say this? It's an inexpensive decoupage product is what it is, but it works really well for gluing and sealing. Does that sound right
Yeah.
to you, Kat?
Yes.
Okay.
And you don't have to spend a lot of money on a varnish, because a varnish, could cost a little bit more than
Yeah.
what some Mod Podge
Yeah.
costs. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good alternative.
Yeah.
And people also ask me all the time about my pages. Do my pages stick together?
Mm-hmm.
And they do not. And I live in humid Florida, but my pages do not stick together.
Interesting.
Not to where when you open them after a long period of time, they rip, the one page touching the other one rips the art. It
Right.
does not happen. It crackles and pops, and
Mm-hmm.
and you can hear a little bit of stickage, occasionally. That's usually in the crease of the book,
Yeah.
and it does not. And I attribute a lot of that to the fact that it's matte Mod Podge.
Okay.
And glossy Mod Podge will stick to a facing page that has glossy Mod Podge on it.
Okay. So gloss will stick to gloss. Yeah.
Gloss sticks to gloss, just
Yeah.
like color forms stick to windows.
That's true. Yeah. That's a good analogy. Good
That's
analogy.
just the way it works. The glossy stuff sticks to one another.
So there was a question. There was a question in the chat about matte medium. Do you use any of the artist quality matte mediums and things too?
Yes, I have some, and I use it occasionally. And it's not for any reason in particular, other than the fact that I have it, because I bought it to try it.
Okay.
And it does have a good matte finish. A lot of times you don't want any shine at all on what you're making, and so that's the time when you want to use a true matte medium, because there's no shininess to it. Maybe there's no varnish in that. I don't know, but it's not shiny at all.
So one question in the chat was, are we painting both sides of the paper or just one side?
It depends. If you're going to have your flowers fluffed up, very three-dimensional, you might want to paint on the back too.
Okay.
But
So
I'll have mine closer to the surface probably, so it doesn't matter much to me. I won't be doing the back of mine. But
So-
just having the book text show on the back to me would be kind of cute too.
yeah. So it's kind of personal preference.
Yeah.
So Ian wanted to know, Ian's in England, I believe. He's still trying to figure out Mod Podge.
Oh,
And he wanted to know if it was like a fabric glue, but it's really not a fabric glue. It's closer to the PVA type of glue, Ian. Let's see. And is it Linda in the chat wants to know if it's okay to paint over Mod Podge. Do you know the answer to that?
I don't. I would try it if it's something you need to do. I would try it.
Yeah, I wouldn't hesitate, I don't think,
Yeah,
because I think
I mean-
acrylic paint sticks to most stuff, don't you?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't hesitate. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. If you do, put it in there. Put in
I
your
don't know
opinion.
if I've done it before, but I wouldn't hesitate to do it. I think I would just do it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of my attitude is kind of try it and see, you know?
Because it's no different than writing over the top of Mod Podge and stuff. Stuff sticks to that.
And you don't have
trouble.
trouble with that, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I think it would be okay.
Cool.
Excuse me.
I'm managing to get paint all over my hands.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I don't know how this happens.
I also managed to get, too much paint that I'm having to use up on other papers.
Other stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, it's the truth, and especially if you're on camera too. That is a guaranteed, guaranteed moment that you will go, well, if I wasn't recording, it wouldn't be looking like that.
Yes, indeed. Funny.
Kyla Givehand says, craft paint over Mod Podge works beautifully. So there is Kyla's feedback. So that's
Thank
great.
you.
Okay, so tell me more about your, while we're painting paper here, and when we're ready to go on, you can tell me.
Okay.
I'm curious about your history with scrapbooking. Are you a scrapbooker?
Well,
or were you?
I was making scrapbook pages.
You made scrapbook pages, okay.
I was making scrapbook pages to sell instead of working on my own scrapbook pages.
Uh-huh.
That's what I was doing.
And how did
I
that
did a
come?
few of my own. But,
How did that start out? How did you one day decide to sell scrapbook pages?
well, I started making some because of a friend of mine, Bonita. She got me into it because she had found some people doing, is it Creative Memories? Is that the name?
Creative Memories, yeah.
Yeah. And so she got me, started on that. And then I do not know what caused me to all of a sudden decide to make them and put them on eBay. I have no idea.
So eBay was where you were selling your pages as opposed to Etsy, right?
Right. I don't think Etsy was around or not very old when I first started out.
Okay.
I think they were relatively new. That was back in 2004 was when I first started making pages for eBay. It's weird how I remember the year that I started doing it, but I don't remember why. I don't know what made me decide to do that. But.
And Janice in the chat says that Mod Podge now has a chalk finish Mod Podge that she wants to try, which I'm not.
There's a lot of them out there. There's lots of different Mod Podges.
There really are. There's some with glitter and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Our favorite. Gotta love glitter as long as it's suspended in something that you don't have to get all over your surface.
Yeah, if it's stuck down in some glue, I'm okay with it. Otherwise, I'm not.
Here.
Yes. Yeah.
I totally understand that.
All right. Me some stickles, but that's about it.
Yeah. I own 3 bottles of stickles and 1 bottle of distressed stickles. That is the sum total of my stickle collection.
That's your sticklage.
It's my sticklage, and I have it, and I don't think that I've ever used it on anything.
Oh, Barb, you got to get your stickles out and use them, for heaven's sakes.
I need to get my stickles on, huh?
Yeah, girl.
Yeah.
Get your stickles on. I was going to see if I could reach mine, but I don't know if I can reach them.
I don't know.
Here's my
Look
stickles.
at you. Oh, boy.
That's my little collection of sticklage.
Yeah. I don't even have that collection of sticklage. I don't even have that. Okay, so I'm going to change. Well, I'm not, because your view is good, so we're going to do that. I'm just going to hold mine up just so they can have something to look at that's different. So kind of hold up your pages too as we go, Kat, just so.
You can change whatever you need to, though.
Yeah, so I'm
using this for the background.
Okay.
Okay, and then here's some I'm doing for red colored flowers.
Okay.
And here's some I'm doing for orange.
Okay.
I'm just mixing a couple of shades together just to give a little bit of dimension to the flowers.
Okay, so we are working in completely different color range, which is fun. Yeah. I love that because then you have different things to look at.
Absolutely. And everybody can see how it's fun how we all do something different,
And I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, so what are we doing now? Are you still doing more colors?
I'm just doing another color real quick for my flowers.
Okay.
But the next thing you want to do is just make sure that all of your papers are dry.
Okay.
because you're going to tear them out with your fingers.
Okay.
Tear out some circles.
So maybe I'll do a contrast color here.
There you go. We're going to tear out some circles with our fingers and basically do, is it concentric as they get smaller?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. So I can't remember if that was the right word.
Yep.
So we'll do like, however many layers you want to make your flower. Like I'll probably do 3, or you can do 5, or,
Okay.
Then you want to just have graduating sizes of circles going
Okay.
out with your fingers.
So when you do these, when you're making your posies for a card, do you do a specific number of posies, or how do you decide?
I like odd numbers.
Uh-huh.
I just feel like it's more appealing to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, I don't know why that is, but it just seems like it is.
It just seems like the right thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it. You can look at it on anything you're looking at. You lay down 2 flowers, and it just doesn't look right. But when you add that 3rd one, perfect.
Even
if
if
you add a
it's
4th one, it's not right again because
Yeah.
it's even somehow. You add the 5th, and it's perfect.
even if it's kind of hanging off the edge, that 3rd one's kind of hanging off the edge.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
makes a difference, doesn't it? At least I
does.
find it does.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's ask the chat people. If you guys in the chat make things, do you go for even or odd numbers of things when you're making a card or a journal page or an ATC or whatever? Okay, hang on. I got a thing I need to deal with.
All right.
Oh boy, this one's going fast.
What's that, the chat?
Yeah, I'll catch it. I'll catch it in a minute. Clausman, if you're watching, let's see if he's here. Can you come up here? I need to chat with you a minute.
Lots of people chatting in there, huh?
We have lots of people chatting today. Lots of people chatting, and it is flying. It's flying so fast I couldn't even take care of something I needed to take care of. Okay, so we've got people saying always go in 3s, always odd. So I think pretty much they kind of agree with the odd numbers so far, it seems.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, I agree with that as well, that, I find the odd numbers to me more comfortable too. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, more pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, it just feels right. Exactly.
Yeah. And whatever it is, however that works, I am not professionally trained in art either, and so, that doesn't, okay, hang on just a second, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Watch the chat for me. There's somebody named Pharrell or something who is saying stuff like, watch my YouTube channel. And
I did see that.
okay, when you see him again, ban him.
Okay. I did see that, but I didn't see, I thought maybe it was one of her followers.
No,
or something.
no.
What was his face?
PHAR something. Okay, sorry, back again. Just had a minor detail to take care of. Did you keep him entertained while I was gone, Kat?
Just spreading paint.
Just spreading paint.
I hope everybody else is spreading paint too.
Oh yeah, exactly.
These turn out to look like. So come over to Mixed Media Morsels and put them in the group.
Okay, so if that's a good thing. If somebody wants to join Mixed Media Morsels, that's an open group. Okay.
It's a closed group, but come in and ask to join,
Okay.
and we'll get you put in.
Okay, good. And then when you get over there, be nice and behave yourself, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, we have a great group, Barb. Let me tell you right now, we have an excellent group of people
That's wonderful.
in that group, and we don't have any problems at all, and everyone is so supportive. It's a really safe place to
Good.
come and share your art, even if you feel like you're not so comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
People come in and share it, and they'll say, I'm not really sure I like this, and the flood of encouragement underneath each one of those pictures is amazing.
Good.
We really have a great group.
That's good. And Terry Trouble, who is in the audience, she says, even me, I have to behave. Yes. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Or maybe
That's
she's
funny.
saying that she can behave. I'm not sure which.
Maybe so.
Okay. All right. So I've got like 4 different pieces of paper with color on them. Do you think that's good enough,
Okay.
or do I need more?
I've got 4 colors of flowers and the background, and then I'm just doing a little tiny bit of green in case I use this, but I'll probably use
Okay.
markers for the green part. But
Okay.
I
Well, I'll
just
do
figured I'd
one.
throw it
I'm
on.
going to do one more with some greens on it. That'll be fun.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So then I'll
And then
have.
we can tear.
So I'll have a total of 5 pieces of paper that have paint on them. And does that sound like that would be reasonable? 5
Yeah.
pieces of paper? Okay,
Absolutely.
cool. Let's see, what else? I need to ask you some more questions while I'm doing this. Let me see, what else I had
You
on
got
my...
a list.
I do. I have a list, folks. I have a list. Oh, I know what I want to ask you about. I know you have some children. Do you have any grandchildren?
I do. I have 2 daughters.
2 daughters.
And 2 grown daughters.
Okay.
And I have 6 grandchildren.
And what
that I-
ages do they range in?
They range from 14 to 4, almost 4.
Wow, what a nice age range. Now, do they like to create with you?
Yes, they do. They love Nana's art room.
Nana's art room.
Yes, oh, they love Nana's art room. The older ones did when they were younger. They were more into it,
Okay.
but they've lost a little bit of interest as they've gotten older. But that's fine too. You know,
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I got the older ones smash books, and so they like to draw in them and
So
do stuff.
do they do
So
that? Do they still do that? The older ones still do the smash books?
I think so.
Uh-huh.
I asked the oldest one that's 14 if I could look at his the other day, and he'd been drawing like crazy.
Cool.
So I was like, yay!
That's great. That's great. And then I know that you had told me about the little grandson, right? That's the 6-year-old. And you told me about his things, his affinity for art. And you told me about a drawing that you had posted, and I went and looked it up last night.
Did you?
Yes, and I want to tell you people, I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook just because it's just not my social media of choice, but it is worth going over and looking on Kat's. It's on your personal page, isn't it?
It's on my cat hand.
Yeah, Cat Hand page on Facebook. And back about the end of May or the first part of June, I think is where it was. And this little guy drew the most amazing picture of an anthill with ants and grass and stuff. You guys need to, seriously, you really need to go look that up and see this little guy's drawing. He is something, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
He's totally surprised me. He drew that picture at my house. One day he was here, and it was right at the very end. Well, I think school had just gotten out for him, and he was sitting at my kitchen table and was drawing. And he came, and when he was finished, he came over and showed it to me. And I said, "Oh my goodness, that's great! What did you make?" And he told me it was these ants. They were bad. These were bad ants, and that he was drawing. He was drawing from a story that they had read in school. And he told me a little bit about it, that the ants got in the sugar bowl, and that it was funny, and he enjoyed it. And then he lost interest, started doing some other things. So I said to him, did you read that story at school just before you got out of school? And he said, no, that was at the beginning of the year.
The beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he was still remembering the story about the ants.
Yeah.
But the story is called Two Bad Ants. And he was right. They got away from the rest of the ant colony and got into somebody's house, and they found a sugar bowl where they found these glorious crystals, they were called. And it was really cute. And they learned, because there were several terrible things, like they almost got eaten in somebody's cereal bowl when they got sugar, to put in their cereal, something. Anyway, they learned to stay with their own colony and not venture out.
They learned to be where they were supposed to be.
Supposed to be, Yeah,
Yeah.
and so
That's
it
great.
evidently stuck with him, and he
Yeah.
loved it. But I was very impressed with the fact that he drew this. I don't recall seeing a picture of an ant hill in the book,
Uh-huh.
but um, which tells me that he did that from his head,
Yeah.
and he drew the perspective. What was just crazy to me that he drew the blades of grass that were like the same size of the ant
And the
hill and
ants are
stuff.
and the ants are tiny. There's little tiny ants and the big ant hill and the big blades of grass. It's really something. It
It
really is
really
for a
is. And he
6-year-old.
he drew little shadows
Yeah.
underneath the ants' bodies as they're climbing up the side
Yeah.
of the
It was
hill.
really great. Eileen McKinnis says that her granddaughter says she wants to be an artist like grandma.
Uh-huh. My
That's
kids, my grandkids have said that too.
There is no greater compliment
Oh my
than to
gosh, I
have
love it.
than that you could be an example to your grandchildren that they want to be like you.
I agree.
That's really great.
I
So
agree.
so I remember when we were talking the other day that there was a when your grandchildren come to your room that you have a special journal of some kind that you do some things
Oh,
in.
yeah, actually that I keep that downstairs so it's more readily available.
Oh, okay.
My art room is upstairs. This is a bedroom
Uh-huh.
that I'm in that we just made into my art room when we moved here.
Mhm.
But they they like to draw pictures for me,
Mhm.
and I was ending up, with all of these pictures, multiple pages, page after page after page, when you have six grandchildren.
Right, just a whole bunch of
And
pages.
yeah, and not that I don't like them. Don't get me wrong, I love
Sure.
those.
Sure.
But I gave a gift to my friend Bonita, who I mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
I gave her a little journal one time for a birthday gift, and I
Mhm.
said, I don't know if you write, in a journal or draw or anything like that, but I said I figured it was so pretty. I figured at the very least maybe you could have your grandkids draw pictures in there for you.
Yeah.
And suddenly a light bulb went off
Ta-da!
in my head, and I said, "Hey, I can let my grandkids do that
Yeah.
too." So I took a journal. It looks like one of these. This is an empty one,
Mhm.
and it's got a cutout there on the front.
That's a cool journal. What
Oh,
brand of journal is that? Oh, that's neat.
really the thickest chipboard I have ever seen.
Uh-huh.
But it's called the Blank Journal.
Well, that's original.
Oh, write it down. Journals Unlimited.
Huh.
Journals
Journals
Unlimited
Unlimited.
Ink. Write it down. It
Okay.
says, and you can personalize it and all that kind of stuff. So it's lined papers all the way
Okay.
through. The paper is not real thick, but it's thicker than like copier paper,
Yeah. Yeah.
printer paper would be.
Mhm.
But anyway, I took this book and it says the Blank Journal. I mean, there's literally a blank there, and it says
Yeah.
the Blank Journal.
Yeah.
And I wrote the word Nana.
Uh.
So it's downstairs, right where they have access to it
Mhm.
whenever they want. And I've told them, whenever you want to draw me a picture, make sure you grab this book. Draw me a picture, not this book, but one like it. I said, draw me a picture, and the only rules about it is I won't let them use pencils to color with, like the regular lead pencils,
Right.
because it smears everywhere.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I learned that with the first picture in the book. I had to
Mhm.
spray it with a fixative because it was
Mhm.
making a big mess all over the
Right.
facing page.
Right.
And so the only other rules are they have to, if they make a picture for me or write me a note,
Mhm.
they can do anything they want on those pages, but they have to sign their name and they have to put the date.
Brilliant.
And it is awesome just being able to have that book and flip through. And I also use the pages, like if they make little tiny pictures for me, like out of a notepad or something like that, I tape them in.
Now,
You know,
do they go in order, or do they just get to pick any page they want?
they've been doing it themselves, and they've been going in order.
Have they really? That's
Yeah,
interesting. That's
they
really
just
interesting.
turn the next page and start
Oh,
working.
that's great. Kyla Givhan says she has the journal like that, and it's called My Journal. The journal about. She says I have that journal, and hers is called The Journal About Me. It has a little stick figure girl on the cover. How cool is that?
Oh, cute.
So I wonder if they have different ones in the
Yeah, I think they
line.
probably do. I
Yeah.
was I was going to look and see they had some pictures on the back here. Uh, I was looking to see.
Was that something you ordered, or was that something
I did.
you did?
I did. I ordered it. Journalsunlimited.com.
Journalsunlimited.com. That's cool.
Uh-huh. But it's been several years ago that I ordered it. So
Great.
this one actually has a copyright in here of 2000. So I don't know if they're still making.
Yeah. It's
journals,
really,
but
it's a nice size.
it is, and it's the thickest chipboard you can. I cannot believe how thick this is. I mean,
Yeah.
like I can't bend it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a really, it's like a thick board
So-
book even or something. It's really
Exactly,
something. Yeah,
exactly.
that's great.
And
Super.
it says, "Write it down. Memories are all that's left.
Yeah.
Live, love, laugh." That's what it says on the front.
I love the fact that you have a Nana's journal. That was just a stroke of brilliance. I wish I had done that with my kids, but I didn't. But you can always start it with another generation,
Exactly.
It's just
exactly.
it's a brilliant concept. It's a brilliant way to, I mean, that is divinely inspired, I will say. I'm going to rip that right off too.
Do please
Someday.
do. I want everybody to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
I love sharing ideas like
Yeah.
that. That's why I make videos, because I want to share.
Yeah,
I
that's great.
want everybody, all of you out there watching, I want you to do this stuff.
That's
I want
right.
you to feel the joy
Just point,
there is in creating.
do this. Just put your finger up there and just
That's
tell
right.
them.
Do it.
There was a question in the chat just a second ago about the humidity in your area, and
Yeah.
wanted to know if the humidity affected, any of your products that you work with. I know you already talked about Mod Podge, that it didn't seem to affect you with that. Does it
I
bother you
haven't
with glue
had any.
stick or any of those kinds of things?
No, and I mean, we have the air conditioner on, all the time.
Okay.
If the heat isn't on, the air conditioner is on.
Yeah. So
But
it's
in
not.
Florida, you have to.
So you really don't. Your art
It's
is really climate controlled. You could
that was
say.
exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Climate control.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
now,
cool.
if we weren't climate controlled, maybe that would be different.
Yeah.
But since we are,
I think it's just so individual, don't you? You just
I
have
do.
to really try stuff and see what happens, and try out products and there's so much of this that's very personal preference. So
Exactly. And I'm
Okay.
telling you, if you use the glossy Mod Podge, I would say to avoid the glossy Mod Podge
'Cause it's
if you
gonna
don't want sticking.
it's gonna stick. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't, you can put wax paper between your pages. You can people have said you could rub a candle over your page. I've used some of the Daddy Vans furniture polish, the beeswax stuff. I've used a little of that
Ding.
occasionally. Yes, that's Shannon's specialty. That's right. That's where I heard that from too, was from Shannon.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do, or let me word it this way. I haven't had to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
On my pages, because I don't use the glossy.
Okay.
And the one page that sticks occasionally to the facing page is the one that I did the mosaic watermelon on. And some of you will remember that watermelon. I did a mosaic. And then for the seeds on the outside, I used some enamel accents. I used a little black enamel accents to make the seeds. And so they're glossy.
Right. And they want to stick.
And they stick a little bit to the facing page. Nothing is tearing up or anything like that, but they're always together. And
You always hear it.
Snap it open. Right.
So we're tearing circles now. Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah, just
Okay.
tear out your graduated sizes of circles.
So I'm just tearing mine.
And you can mix your colors. You can keep the colors together. I'm going to keep the colors together in each flower, I think. For the layers, keep the layers the same color.
Oh,
But you can mix them
sounds
if
fun.
you want to.
Yeah.
The first time I did it, I mixed a bunch of colors
Uh-huh.
together. For those of you who haven't seen the first one,
Oh, yeah.
I'll show you I know I'm far away from the camera, but
Oh,
there's the first morsel.
cute.
The first time I did the posies.
cute. That's what we're
So,
working on, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Except we're
So
making a
that's the kind
card.
of thing.
Except we're making
so
a card.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Yes,
Gotcha.
we are making a card. And so that's what that is.
I don't tear circles so well.
Nobody does. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. They're very imperfect, and that's the way they should be.
Perfectly imperfect.
Exactly, and it
Yeah.
makes such a cute little. It makes such a cute little flower because a lot of times the flower isn't perfect either. You know, sometimes they are.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they're
Yeah.
not.
Let's see. Debbie Boring says 3 granddaughters just moved away, and Debbie's 3 granddaughters just moved away, and her most prized possessions are their art journals that she had them work in every time they came to visit, and she had them sign and date every page. Wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome, Debbie.
Debbie was a very involved and super grandma.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It's really great. And let's see, Ian was talking about the journals, and he was talking about 4 pounds for the A3 size journal. And because I'm not familiar with pounds or A3, I don't know how to translate that into American measurements and currency and stuff. So if somebody knows, they can put that in there, because I really don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah, we're just tearing circles out.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hold yours up so they can see just get the idea, because I've got you on the bigger screen.
Okay.
So she's just tearing out some circles of graduating sizes.
Yep, 3 little red ones, and I'm working on some orange colored ones.
Okay.
Yep.
So just tear down some circles.
And they're not going to be perfect, and they're going to be oblong and wonky looking and stuff, but that's perfectly fine.
I don't know. I'm surprised you came up with this, Kat. Someone who is neat and tidy about everything.
Listen, I should say I was a lot of a perfectionist. Not intentionally. It's just in my nature.
Yeah.
I am what's that word? My younger sister Judy would know.
Are you recovering perfectionist?
I can't think of that term, but it's a personality. It goes the personality, different traits. You're
uptight.
Can't think of any of them now. Man, of course I can't.
Yes. No, it happens.
Melancholy. That's the thing where you're kind of everything's orderly, and I took a little test one time that she was showing me, my sister was, and melancholy is the way I came out, and that has more perfectionist tendencies.
They just love to show you things like that too, don't they?
Yeah. But I'm learning in mixed media art that everything is not perfect, and I'm learning to love it.
Good.
I mean, I love making messy art a whole lot more than I love perfect art now. I'm telling you, I just do. Like you'll see me making doodles and stuff and scribble. I'll just scribble all over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, that's fun.
It is fun. It really is. It just loosens you up,
It does. It does.
Loosens you up.
You realize while you're doing it, you're thinking, I don't know, this is not quite looking. No, this isn't quite looking right. And yet when you look at it, when you finish, it looks amazing and it looks artistic.
And, one of the things I've found too, I don't know about you, but one of the things that I've found is that if you don't like it, put it away.
Yep.
And
just come back
to it later. And it's amazing how good, somebody came in and worked on it when you weren't looking. And it's amazing how good it looks.
Exactly. Either that, or you suddenly realize, I know what I can do.
It needs this one little thing.
Yeah. And whereas the day before or the week before, you just were scratching, at it, trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's always good just to put it aside and look at it later.
Mm-hmm. Walk out of the room, slam the door. Sometimes it just, sometimes I have to do that. Walk out and slam the door and throw a fit.
You'll amaze yourself.
Throw a fit, go have some tea, have a cup of coffee, come back, and you go, now what was it I didn't like about that?
just go out and throw some pottery, right?
Yes, exactly. Ian says that A3 is about 11 and a half by 16, about 16 and a half inches. and 4 pounds is $5.25. That's a pretty good sized journal for $5.25. Wow, that's great.
It is good, yeah.
Debbie had to take some classes with Christy Tomlinson to get over her perfectionist tendencies.
My very first piece of mixed media art was inspired by Christy Tomlinson's She Art Girl.
Uh-huh.
And that was the very first thing I made.
Do you have that close at hand?
Yes, I do. It's right here. No, 1 second. It was in 2013, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first thing I did after I was watching all those videos I told you I suddenly found.
Yeah. Yep. So that's Kat's very first mixed media piece. How about that, people? You got to see it here. Yeah.
The first one.
The very
and it
first
says
one.
she thought she could, so she did.
I love that. She thought she could, and so she did.
And I picked that because that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Gosh, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
So I did.
That's great.
Thanks.
Okay, so I have some. Oh, I need a center for this one flower. I thought I was done, but I'm not. I need one more. I need one more little circle. So what happens after we do our little circles?
Okay, we're going to roll them, squash them in our hands and squeeze them.
We're gonna abuse our little circles, huh?
Yes, we're going to wrinkle them all up,
Okay.
Push them all up.
So
and
I'm
then
just
open them
gonna.
up.
This is where you just take out your aggression, just
Yeah.
wrinkle them up, and then straighten
Now-
them back out.
Mm-hmm. Now
Okay.
you can wet them and crinkle them up,
Ah.
and then dry them.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times people do that too. We can do that now, but it would take more time. So
Right.
it works out just as well. I mean, it works out fine to do it without wetting, and if you want to save the time. So, or at least my little Posies did that I made the other day.
Yeah.
They worked out fine.
Yeah. So, in case any of you didn't hear exactly what she said, because all of a sudden my mind went blank for a second, so I don't know where I went. I took a little vacation there for a second.
You were busy tearing paper, weren't you?
I guess I was wrinkling things up and having to concentrate a little too hard. So we're just mushing up each little petal circle, mushing it up, and then opening it back up. And if you want to, Kat says if you want to spray it with some water and wrinkle it up, you can get good wrinkles that way as well. So just pretty much depends on what you have. We're not going to do that just because of the time and the drawing, and I don't need to chase my little petals all over the place with my heat gun, which could happen, people. It could happen.
Oh, it will definitely happen for me.
Yeah, and the sponsors are not in here to clean up, so they're doing their job. They're staying safely behind door number 1 back here. So anyway, we're just mushing up little petals, wrinkling them up into a little wad, then opening them back up. If you want to wet yours and then dry them, you can do that. So we're just making posies. We're just making some posies here. So you said something earlier about you used to have an eBay store, or used to sell on eBay, and that was before Etsy, correct?
Right.
And so now, do you still have the eBay, or do you have you moved over to Etsy?
I did move over to Etsy because it was cheaper to have an Etsy store than it was to have an eBay store.
Uh-huh.
And so because it was becoming more and more popular, Etsy was.
Okay.
And of course now it's just flooded with
with artists,
With
creative
artists and
people of
stores.
all kinds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. I moved over to Etsy,
Uh-huh.
and
what is your store name on Etsy?
it's also called Handy Scrap
Handy Scrap. Is it
Handy
SCRAP or with an S on the end?
with an S on the end.
Handy Scraps. Okay. Handy Scraps on Etsy. And her Kat's social media links will be in the description below the video. So, and also I will be writing a blog post about what we're doing today. And so if you go to HowToGetCreative.com, and you'll see it on the front page when I get the post written, which it will go up on Sunday. So you can see about that. Oh, I just ripped one of my little circles. Well, gotta go do a new one of those. Be a little careful. Be a little careful with your circles. Don't be too rough, folks.
I think I'm going to run over the edges of mine with the ink pad just to darken up the edges a little bit.
Okay. So what kind of ink are you using?
Since it's fall.
Yeah.
I'm using an archival ink, a Ranger archival ink. This color is called Tree Branch.
Okay.
So it's just a brownish color.
Okay.
It's a little bit lighter than the Timber Brown in the Stays On.
Okay.
So it's a little different shade, but just doing that just to give it a little bit more dimension when we put them together.
Okay, that's good. And so what kinds of things do you sell in your Etsy shop?
Well, when I'm a good girl and I actually keep my store stocked.
Yes.
I have some cards in there and some handmade cards, and I have some I have started putting some mixed media art in there too, and some prints of mixed media art. So I think I'm switching over to the darker brown. The other one's too yellow for me.
Okay.
So now I'm using Stays On, the brown Stays On. So yeah, I have some prints and a couple of original little canvases that I try to keep some in there. I think there's a couple of those left right now, but I do want to put some more in. But it's just finding the time to do everything you want to do.
Yeah, it's true.
So try to.
It's very true. There's one time a friend of mine said to me, it was just funny. She was a single gal and she was a business owner, and so she's busy. I mean, everybody that runs a business it's busy. Yeah. And she said to me, she said, well, I don't have as much time as you have in a day. And I looked at her and I said, what? I said, last I checked, there were 24 hours in the day, the same 24 hours for me as there were for you. And she said, and she knew that I had got her, so to speak, which I wasn't intending to show her up or anything. It just caught me funny. And I said, and she looked at me and she said, well, you know what I mean. Like, okay. So I'm just inking around edges of my little circles. Now on mine, I'm using archival deep purple. So this is what I'm using on mine. It's the archival ink in the deep purple. So that's what I'm using on mine. So, yeah.
I said I was not going to mix colors, but I sat here and you know what I did after I said I don't like even numbers? I made 4 colors of flowers.
Oh, you did? Well, apparently you have a choice. Now you have a choice.
I will not use 4 flowers on my card. So I am mixing colors. On my orange one, I'm using one of the brown. I made a brown mix, yellow color. I'm going to use a brown color center on the orange flower.
Well, the funny part about doing these live streams is when you're having to do it, you're doing it live and you're thinking and you're talking. It's amazing how many times you can get your thought and your actions completely cattywampus from each other.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes.
I can do that on my own even when I'm not on the stream.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. I am usually so deep in thought most of the time. Don't ask me what about, because I don't know. I really don't know what I'm thinking about, but I'm thinking about a lot of different stuff at any one moment. And there's just my husband and me that are here in the house now. And I'll tell you what, he can walk in the room, and I know he's somewhere around, but I'm not expecting him to walk in, and he can scare the absolute tar out of me. And,
mine too.
And I'm just, it's like you don't realize how much you think about, how much time your mind spends being busy and thinking about stuff until somebody walks in the room and just scares you to pieces.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And mine always knows when he does it too, because I go,
oh, yes. Yeah.
And then he gets this really dirty look.
Right. I usually grab my chest and go, oh, my word.
Exactly, because I do. I mean, it makes your heart race.
It does. I just have to put it back. It comes right out of my chest. I have to put it back,
Oh, my gosh. I know.
Yeah.
I have to tone down my background. It's too bright.
Okay.
So I'm adding some paint.
Now, is this going to get glued onto the, or did you do that on the card base? Or did you set that aside? The folded card, did you set that aside, or is that what you're working on?
I set it aside because I knew it would end up covered in paint. If I
Okay.
didn't.
So we're going to actually glue whatever the background is. We're going to be gluing that over that background, over the card, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought at one point that there was a possibility that I would put a piece of cardstock, colored cardstock under there, but I don't think I'll need it because I've got such solid color going on here.
Okay.
I don't really think I will need it, the colored cardstock.
Okay.
Wipe a little of this back a little bit.
That sounds like a good idea. So to tone it back, what are you using to tone it back?
I just use a really light color in the same color family. That was real dark, and so I used Spa Blue. That's Lori's favorite color.
It is? Okay, well, Lori will appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm doing 3 layers per flower. They're asking in the chat how many layers. So I'm doing 3 layers to my flowers, but you could do as many as you want. You could do 5. You could do 4. You could break the rules. You could break the rules, and you could do 4 if you wanted, right?
To each his own.
That's right. That is right.
Yep.
All right, so I'm just taking a little bit of white gesso, and I'm going to put that on mine. Then I'll show it to you here in a second. Let me just lift it up.
I
So,
ended up with, ooh, that's pretty.
so I just have green, and I'm going to take the white and spread it on here, just so I'm going to tone down the green just a little bit.
I ended up with so much paint, I can't see any book text anymore on the background, but oh yeah.
You know it's
happens.
there. That's all that matters.
That's
You know it's there.
right. As long as it's there.
That's right.
I'm just trimming my page down. You don't ever want to start building your card on a page that's too big for your card.
Okay, don't build your card. Say that again.
Yeah.
Don't build your card.
Don't build your card. Don't put your elements on your card on a background that is too big for your card base. Like this book page is too big for my 5x7 card, so I have to trim it down.
Otherwise, you're going to go off the space.
Right.
Correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Good planning. Good planning.
Yeah. So I'm cutting this down to fit just inside of the 5x7 card. So it'll be like 4 3/4 by 6 3/4.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna end up
So
trimming it to.
here's what I'm doing. So we're doing things a little differently, just because I thought it would be fun to have something kind of a little different. So I took my card base, which is watercolor paper. That's what I'm using as my base, and then I'll glue that, or I'll stick that onto the folded card base. So I did that, and then I sketched around it with a pencil on my piece of paper, and I'm just going to cut a little bit outside the line that I drew around, and that way I've got just a smidgen extra to play with in case something weird happens, because I'm famous for not being able to put things on the right size to the right size. I'm just not good at it. Sometimes you just have to know that about yourself.
Yep.
And I've noticed that on this I've got a lot of extra white space at the bottom, and so I'm just going to put a little bit more paint on there, because
Okay.
because you know why? Because it's mine.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I can.
Right. Be the boss of your card.
I am the boss of my stuff. I'm the boss of my stuff. So I'm just going to put a little bit more paint down here.
That's a DDism I picked up.
It is. Yeah. Be the boss of whatever. Your art journal, your paint, your color book, your cards,
Here's my
your art
background.
room. Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty.
So you can see there's a little bit, like 1/8 of an inch around the edges.
Yep. Okay.
Okay,
But
so-
you haven't glued it down or
Have
anything,
not,
right?
Not yet.
Okay.
Nope. I might run an ink pad around the edge, though, since I'm not putting a solid cardstock back there.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to see if I've got a blue color, aqua color, called aquamarine archival.
I like aquamarine. I think that's a beautiful color.
Yeah, me too. I guess it's pretty good. It's a little bit darker than the paint, so that's good. It might work.
Do you work with the distress inks very much?
No, I don't, and I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
I do like them, and I have a couple of
Uh-huh.
the brown tones like Vintage Photo and
Mm-hmm.
whatever, some couple of the others. That's mainly what I use them for. If I'm trying to get something a vintage look, and the main reason I don't is because I've gotten to where I use everything that I can get my hands on that's permanent,
Yeah.
that doesn't move
Yeah.
when you put wet medium on top of it.
Yeah. So
I
you like the control of working with permanent mediums.
I do.
Yeah.
I like the permanency of that. If I had to pick a favorite medium, that's probably what I should say is that my favorite mediums are permanent mediums.
Yeah. So, Kat, what's your favorite medium? Permanent?
The permanent ones. Honestly, it's the truth.
Yeah, that's good. I've never heard that before, but I totally understand it. Totally understand
Yeah,
it.
I just don't like things to move around once I've put them in someplace. Now, there are times when I guess you do want things to move, like if you spray some dilution sprays
Mm-hmm.
and then you want them to move and you hit them with some water and watch them run and drip and stuff. You do want that, and at those times I do want that.
Yeah.
But those are times that I'm probably not planning on putting a coat of Mod Podge or Collage Podge or anything on top of it.
Yeah.
I got to take this apron off; it's in my way.
Okay. You got to be comfortable when you're doing art. Got to be comfortable.
Sorry, I hope you didn't say anything to me.
I said you got to be comfortable when you're doing art. Just got to be comfortable. Creativity and art.
I wanted it on during that painting stuff, but
yeah.
And then I couldn't hear you because I had to take my earbuds out. But,
So is anybody out there in the live viewing audience? Are any of you guys working along with us? I bet I know Kyla Givehand is working along with us because she always works along. Is anybody else working along with us doing anything? And if you are, what colors are you using? That's what I'd like to know.
if I was in the chat, I would be.
I know you do too, don't you? That's true.
I do like to, yeah.
That's true.
I try to do it when I can. And if I can't, I can't. But I do like to do that.
That's great. I get too wrapped up in the chat and watching what the demonstration person is doing, whoever it is.
I know that's a drawback because when I'm doing that, I can't necessarily be next to the computer or the iPad and be covered in paint and try to do touch buttons or scroll chat or I can't do both.
So we have Debbie Boring's intent. She says her intentions are working on it. Vicky is doing red, blue, and yellow. Marion's doing some reorganizing. Some are watching. Some are doing an iCAD. So there's people playing along. Ian wants to know, I think it was Ian, it scrolled off my screen already, wanted to know, I think, if you like to use the Inktense blocks or pencils.
Yes, I do. I haven't used either one of them very much. I have them both. And there's one video on my channel where I use the Inktense blocks, kind of made like a watercolor Posies card for a friend.
Uh-huh.
And so that was one of the only times I've used them so far. And I don't think I've made anything on video using the pencils yet, but I do like them. It's just something I need to practice with and get a feel for.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm usually too busy using acrylic paint to use the other stuff.
I absolutely love the Inktense. I have just treated myself to the big set of the pencils, and I have just the 12 set of the blocks. Someday I'm going to treat myself to the big set of blocks too. It's one of those things that I think people either like it or don't like it, that medium, and I love them personally. But we all have our preferences.
I really enjoyed using the blocks to make the poppies that day on the watercolor paper. It was fun and it was relaxing. It was just really enjoyable So that I drew them freehand the onto the card front. I drew them with the block,
Ah,
and then used a water brush and went in. You know, I like to challenge myself every now and then because I'm so apt to first grab a pencil and sketch it out first so that I can erase mistakes.
so when you did that, you actually sketched with the Inktense blocks, and then when
Right.
you activated it with the water, you
Right.
just pulled in
And
the pigment from the sketched lines.
right. I added more. I added
Okay.
more as I went along. I added more pigment, but
Okay.
I drew
Good
it
idea.
initially. Yeah, I just initially drew it with the uh, Inktense blocks,
Cool.
and I was really pleased with how it turned out, considering it was like no pencil kind of
That's
thing.
great. That's
That's a big,
great.
kind of a big deal for me because
Mm-hmm.
uh, for probably a lot of people, um, you're always afraid, you could make an error and
Mm-hmm.
then you can't erase it.
Right.
And those times are the times that if you do make an error, that's when you figure out how to fix it.
It's true.
You
It's
know,
really
and if
true.
you, yeah, and if you can't fix it to be the way you originally intended it to be, that's when you do what Shannon does,
Right. What is
and you
it
make
she
more of them.
says? Make more. Yeah.
Yeah, so
One is a mistake, and
and more than that is an effect.
yeah,
A
it's
whole
the
bunch is an effect.
it's a great thing. I love that. Yeah.
And yes, it
And
absolutely
it's true.
works.
And it's
It is.
true.
It's
Do it
very true.
once and it's a mistake. Do it a
Hmm.
bunch of times, it's an effect.
Yep. So if you're painting something and you drop a little dot of paint somewhere that wasn't supposed to be, then you just drop a few more dots and suddenly it looks like you splattered it on purpose that way.
Yeah, and you go, oh, look at that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to do that the day that I dropped my paintbrush out of my mouth
Oh,
and it deposited purple paint on my shirt. I couldn't figure out
oh
how to,
no.
I just couldn't figure out how to make that work. So
Yeah.
I had to,
Sometimes it won't, I guess.
yeah, so I had to, it works on my art pieces, but it didn't work so well on the shirt,
Yeah.
unless I really decided to paint the shirts.
Yeah. You could have a painty shirt. It could always be your painting shirt.
It almost was. It almost was. Okay, so are we putting flowers on the background yet?
We can. I just
Or what
crinkled
are we?
all mine up and uncrinkled them.
Okay.
And so I'm going to just use some tacky glue. You can use whatever glue you want that will hold your papers together.
Uh-huh.
And just take the largest circle on the bottom and just put a little bit of glue in the center and add the next size
Okay, so
petal.
just glue in circles to each
Yep.
other. Just to
Yep.
kind of in the middle is what you were doing?
Yeah, I'm just doing it in the middle.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're actually creating posies now.
Yeah. Yeah. Making some pages.
I love tacky glue. It is my glue of choice.
Yep. I like it too. For a while, I was using the, and I still use it occasionally, the quick dry, Scotch quick dry
Yeah,
adhesive, but I found that sometimes it almost dries too quick.
it does. That's
You
true.
know?
Yeah, depends on what you're doing with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you need it to dry, if it's something you need it to dry very quickly, you got to be quick about it in your work.
You got to be real
know?
quick. You got to be
Yeah.
very quick. Yeah.
And then it does dry, quickly, and it will hang on,
Mhm.
because it dries quick and you're done. But there's times when you just don't want that, So I kind of got me some tacky glue to use that for a bit and see how I like it. But,
So here's my itty bitty posies that we have going on over here, just so you guys can see
oh, look
my
how
little
cute.
posies. And I know I'm little. I'm staying little up in the corner on purpose so we can keep Kat
pretty.
in the
Aw.
big picture. And then we'll when we get to the end and we start talking, we'll go back to where we're side by side here again. Let me see if I got any more I bet I got some more questions here. I was thinking up questions all night long, let me tell you. I bet some of you guys, do any of you guys in the chat have questions for Kat? Put them in caps, all caps if you do. So Nancy Dale, instead of making posies, is making a mandala. Huh. So she's doing a
Oh,
mandala,
you go,
which is
Nancy
cool.
Dale.
Yeah, that's great.
You go, girl.
So how many videos do you have on YouTube? Do you have any idea?
I think it's pretty close to 200.
200. Good
I
for
don't know
you.
for sure, but I think it's pretty close to that. I can tell you real quick. Let's see. I haven't even looked in a while to see or noticed it when I.
So one of the viewers wants to know if you are originally from Florida.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
sure.
Yes, ma'am, she is.
Absolutely. North Florida, almost Georgia, so that's where the southern accent comes from.
Yeah, and she's got that almost Georgia. She's got an almost Georgia accent.
True.
Northern Florida.
Yep.
Yep. So you're looking at how many videos? Let's see.
I was trying to, yeah.
That's okay. Oh, here's another question for you. Do you have specific art training?
I don't.
Sure you
No.
do. You have from your mother.
Well, a little bit. Although she didn't really train me in a lot of art. She taught me a lot of things,
Yeah.
sewing and different arts, I guess you could say. But
Right.
she didn't really train me in any painting or any drawing, or she didn't do any mixed media type
Yeah.
thing. But we did cut and paste and do all that kind of stuff. She made sure of that.
Yeah.
I don't know how many videos I have. I can't tell on here.
A
On
lot.
the phone. I'm sorry. But yeah, there's a lot. I want to say it's 190 something.
Yeah. Quite a
But,
few.
Yeah, quite a few. When I was a little kid, my mom wanted to sleep in on Saturday morning.
Oh, tell us about
And-
that. I forgot about that.
It's the only day she could sleep in, because every other day of the week she was getting up, getting us to school. And on Sundays, she was getting up early so she could get herself ready, so that then she could wake us up and get all of us ready. So on Saturday was the only day she got to sleep in. And she wanted to make sure that we weren't running around the house going crazy, making a lot of noise. And so she got a box of stuff for us. And it was all art and crafts supplies. It was construction paper and scissors and glue and coloring, pages, coloring books, activity books, just dot to dots and all kinds of stuff she had in that box. And that's the only time we could use that box was on Saturday morning, pretty much. That was like a special box. And we weren't allowed to leave the room. We had to stay quarantined in our bedroom. And me and my younger siblings at the time were sharing that bedroom. And so we had to be very quiet, and we sat on the floor and arted.
And so how big was this box of goodness from your mother?
I don't even remember how big the box was. It wasn't like a giant or anything like that, but it was just a good sized box, big enough to hold a pack of construction paper and some coloring books and all that other miscellaneous stuff.
So what kinds of things, tell me some of the things that you would make. Anything special?
The only thing I can remember off the top of my head is we would do, well, there's two things. We would do what we called a scribble scrabble, and you guys know what this is. It's where you take a dark pencil or pen and you draw a line, a continuous line, and scribble all over.
Yeah.
And you just keep scribbling, and it makes all of these holes.
Right.
And then you fill in all the holes with different colors.
Well, I didn't know it had a name, but that is a great name for that.
That was what we named it.
So it's kind of like a string. It's like you would lay down a string, except you're laying it down with pen of some kind.
Usually black, like a black marker,
Yeah.
We would use.
And then just scribble, 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 and then fill it in with colors.
Yep.
I haven't done that in ages.
I know. We loved it, and we tried real hard not to ever have two of the same color touch.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was a big deal,
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, so, I remember that, and the other one was where we did scratch art, where we would scribble different colors all over a piece of paper, and then we would, after we got all the color laid down, we would scribble black. As dark, as hard and heavy as we could, we would scribble the black. And then you take something, I don't even remember what we used. But we would take something and scratch into the black and draw pictures, and what showed through was the color that was underneath. So it's kind of like the masking stuff that I do now. A lot of people do now, where you have a lot of colorful paint and then you paint the black over the top with a mask on. When you pull the mask off, the color shifts.
I had completely forgotten about doing that with the, adding the black on top. That's a cool thing to do.
A lot of fun. We had fun doing it. But yeah, we kept busy, and it was usually very, creative. We were always doing something with our hands.
Your mother was a very smart lady, you know that?
But I think it was because, I think so, and I think it was because she loved it so much.
Yeah.
And she hadn't had opportunities when she was a child. She was very creative, but didn't have any supplies or anything. She would draw on paper bags. If that was the only paper she could get her hands on, she would draw on paper bags. And little did she know that they would come like we are now, where we're drawing all over craft paper all the time.
She would have a ball with that, wouldn't she?
Yeah, I mean, that craft color paper, you can buy it now.
Yep.
And that's a big deal. She used it out of necessity.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So there was something I was going to say a minute ago, flitted through my head.
Give it a minute; it'll come back.
Yeah. Aggravating,
I know. It'll come back.
Yeah. It will. I'm sure it will.
Okay, so what are we doing now? We're edging.
Okay. I edged the flowers and glued them together.
Okay.
The flower petals.
Right.
Section. And then now I took a piece of little piece of scrapbook paper that had some different colors on it, and I punched some circles.
Okay.
Just punched some tiny circles out.
And these are for the centers of the flowers?
Yeah, I'm just going to glue them into the center. I might put a little stickles on it later when everything's all assembled. But just little colored paper circles, little dots.
Okay.
And you can use anything for this, guys. You can use rhinestones, your little flat back pearls, and all the little bling, all this little stuff that you can get nowadays, a self-adhesive bling.
Just all kinds of little blingy things.
Yeah, I just thought I'd use paper this time just to be different. I might not like it, but I don't think it'll be a big deal.
That's right.
I think it'll be fine, especially if I add some stickles.
So here was a question from somebody. Barbara Clark wants to know, do you embellish these posies before you glue them to the background?
You mean the center?
Well, you're basically you are completely putting the flower and the center together first, right? And
Right,
then you're
that's
going to
what
glue
I'm
them on the card?
Right.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, if you want to leave off the, I didn't glue my background to the card yet, or tape it or whatever. If you want to leave the centers off, if you have a 3-dimensional center, sometimes it's easier to attach your backgrounds and things if you don't have that lumpiness under there. When you turn over your sheet to add like tape or whatever. But mine are paper, so they're going to be flat, so I'll be okay. But if you have a rhinestone or something like that in the center, you can leave that off and put it on after you attach the flowers if you want to, after you attach everything.
So basically, it's a matter of do it the way that you're comfortable assembling things together, right?
Right.
So I printed off your list of your mixed media morsels, and so I'm gonna go down the list.
Okay.
And just tell everybody what's included in your mixed media morsels, just in case somebody's not watched the mixed media morsels, and that might tempt them to go over there and start watching.
Yeah.
So we have, so I'm just going to go through the list. Mixed media morsels, this is up to date so far. Plastic wrap background, collage background, alcohol background, and glue resist background. And then a tissue paper background. And so she's doing these on small pages. So the thing that's nice about it is it's achievable. It's small bites, small morsels. So it's nice. And then the next one is inchies, circles background, houses, whimsical birds, masking technique, torn paper strips, an easy handmade journal, painted circles, easy handmade borders, mosaic background, butterfly embellishments, using paper napkins, fun wavy lettering, silhouettes, colored tissue paper designs, doodles, outlined lettering, handmade painted tape, pretty posies, which is what we're doing, ransom note lettering, using stencils, and crackle background. So, out of all of those, Ms. Cat, which one is your favorite? Do you have one?
Gosh.
You knew that was coming, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Surprise!
Gosh. Well, I can look through my book and tell you, I guess, if any of them are absolute favorites. I mean, I love so many of these.
And isn't it fun to have them in a book that you can just look at and see what they
Yes.
look like?
It's amazing.
And those are, you can use them for cards, you can use them art journal backgrounds, you could use them for all different kinds of things.
Right.
Oh, and somebody asked earlier, and I've just now thought of it, they wanted to know if you did canvases, or did you work strictly on paper?
No, I do some on canvases too.
Canvases too, okay.
I do. Okay. I really like the way the Crackle page came out that we just did last week.
Uh-huh.
I really like that. And another favorite that I like is the silhouette. And here's the reason why. Because I didn't have to go out and buy something to make the silhouette image.
Okay.
I cut a picture out of a magazine and painted it black. And I love the fact that that was so simple.
Yeah.
And I loved the way the page came out. Here it is. And this little bird.
Cute. That's
Standing
nice.
in the water. And that little bird was a brass figurine
Uh-huh. Is that right?
in a catalog.
Wow. He looks
so-
great.
And that was one of my favorites. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So just because it was so simple, there's barely anything on this page.
But it's so effective.
But it worked. And I didn't even have to draw the bird.
Yeah.
You know, and the shape.
Even
of it.
better.
Yeah, as long as you have an image that the outline of the shape can tell the whole story, can tell you what it is, then you can use it for a silhouette.
That's great.
So that's the way that goes.
Do you find that, I often find this, I don't know whether you do or not, but I often find that whatever I'm working on at the moment, that's my favorite thing. Do you find that?
Yeah, it happens because you're so involved, with that one thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm glad
but,
I'm not the only one.
No, you're not. Because I really do love how that Crackle one turned out. And that was, a lot of these morsels that I've been making are my very first time doing them.
Is that right?
Yeah. The Crackle thing, that was the very first time. Other than the moment before I did the video, I tried it out because I wanted to use two different things. I wanted to use Crackle medium and also Elmer's glue
Uh-huh.
to show people that you could use either one.
Yeah.
And I mean, literally, that sitting down to make that video, that was the first time I did the Crackle technique. It was the first time I had done the silhouette. It was the first time I had done, gosh, I don't remember. I just saw one and I don't remember.
Ruth said that her favorite so far has been the inchies.
Oh yeah, the inchies are so much fun. Yeah, that was it. The first time, that was my first inchies that I had done.
Yeah. So this is what I've built so far. I've just made my card base, and I'll show it to you up close after a while. But I've built the card base so far.
Very cool.
And so, like I said, we're doing it a little bit differently because I just thought it'd be fun for us to have, a couple of different ways
Yeah.
of showing what we're doing. And I am not, when I do cards, let me tell you, folks, we're lucky if they're semi-straight. Look, Kat's standing
That's
up.
me. You see me standing,
Cat
right?
standing up, looking down on it, getting it
That's
perfectly
right.
centered.
Aren't you? Because I didn't use the peel off one, so I was like, oh, I got to get this straight.
You got one shot.
I like your technique, by the way, for the the peeling tape, peeling just the sides back, and then laying it down and then pulling off. I love that.
Believe me, I learned that from somebody else and it was one of those smack your forehead moments. I'm going, oh my goodness, I never thought of that,
Right.
Brilliant,
Exactly.
just brilliant.
Very much so. All right, so I don't know if my color scheme is going to work out well, but it might be okay. Yeah.
I think if we just keep working on it, it's going to come together.
Yeah, I hope so.
So do we glue flowers on next, or what do we
Um,
do next?
Probably, I can't remember what order I did it on the morsel, but I think I glued the flowers down and then drew in some stems.
Okay, sounds like a
So
plan.
I think I'll do that this time too.
Whether it was or not, that's what it's going to be this time, right?
That's right. Regardless, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Tacky glue, here we come. Wipe this up. And guys, when you're gluing your flowers together, just put glue in the center of those circles if you want them to be fluffy and like three-dimensional.
Yeah, so don't glue them down flat.
Right. If you want them to be flat, you can do that too. Some people make them like that, and that's a different style. It looks really cute too. But if you want them to be three-dimensional, you can't put glue all over the whole back. Just in the
Yeah.
middle.
I love these little posies. Okay, so
too.
posies are glued onto card. So
Mine
there's
are
the
going on,
card.
too.
So there's the posies
Aw,
glued
look how
on.
cute. Love it.
I put little I was going to use buttons, but the buttons are in with the sponsors in behind door number 1, and we don't want to go in there yet. So
That might be a mistake just yet. Huh?
terrible mistake. Terrible. So what I have done is I've just used some of these real cheap what are these things called? They're like plastic faceted flat back something or other. They're clear. I don't know what they are. Anyway,
We'll just call them bling.
they're flat back bling. Yes,
Flat back plastic blings.
that's right.
call them plings.
Yeah. Okay, here's a hint from Helen Finsky. Kat, if you will use your cheapo glue stick over your tape, it will give you a few seconds to move.
Ah.
Aha. I didn't know that.
Me either.
That's a great tip, Helen. Thank
And
you.
does it still will your tape strip still stick as well?
Okay, we'll let her answer that. So,
Yeah.
Helen, we want to know, after you do that, the tape strips will still stick, huh?
Okay,
I'm
here's
assuming
my
it will.
Posies. Posies on
Oh,
card.
cute. Aren't they cute? They're really cute. Look how different. Okay, hold yours there, and here's mine. Here, I'll put us side by side so they can see us, see them
Okay.
side by side here for a second. Okay, so here we go, side by side.
Get
How
up closer
different,
here.
how
we
very
go.
different they are.
Uh-huh.
Different colors, different backgrounds. Fun, huh? Don't you
Very,
guys
very,
love
very
it?
fun.
Okay.
Love it.
Go back to Tam, I saw Tam chatting. I'm calling you Tam. Go back to Kat being there. Okay, let's see. I'm watching for Helen's response here, if she gives us a response. Somebody else says probably will stick even better.
Oh.
And Aunt Beck hasn't had a chance to craft all week, so she's in craft withdrawal. I say get out there and get creative, Aunt Beck.
Yeah. Get out there and do it. Just do it.
Oh, there
Now, the
she
thing-
says. Helen says, yep, it sure does. So
Well,
there's
good.
your
Thanks for the
answer.
tip.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah, that is very good.
Excellent. Okay, so what are we doing now?
Okay, so the flowers are glued down in the centers, and so you're able to lift up the flower to draw the stem. so
Okay.
that the edge is hidden,
Okay.
under the flower.
So
I'm
what are
just
you?
I'm just using a Faber-Castell Pitt pen.
Okay.
I'm going to try it. I think it'll be okay on this lighter blue here. I think I'll be able to see it, and I've got a darker one as a backup just in case it's not.
Okay, so those of you that
So-
don't know what these are the Faber, I'll read you the exact name of them. These are by Faber-Castell, that's the company, and they're Pitt Artist Pen Big Brush. That's the whole name. These come, you can also get the Pitt Artist Pens in a small size, like this size, okay? So they come small and they come fat, and the tips are different. They're both permanent ink once they're dry. So you do have to let them dry. It does take a minute for them to dry. So anyway, you've got some different
that's
options.
my favorite part about it, right? Because it's permanent.
Yes, I got that. What's your favorite medium, Kat? Permanent.
Permanent ones.
Permanent.
It's so true, though, man.
Yeah.
So true.
Okay, so we're just adding some little stems and some leaves. That's what we're doing, right?
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
All right. And then you can draw some leaves. You can, if you made green paper, like I made a little bit of green painted paper, you can add, torn leaves too. I might add a couple of torn leaves, but you can draw them in with a marker or paint, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Whatever works for you. Okay, let's see.
All right, so I'm just lifting up Posies. Doing little stemmage here, adding little stemmage.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm gonna.
What's really bad is when you write on the white of your card.
Oh, that's right.
But then that's what they make white paint for.
Well, they make white paint for that. They also make that as a design opportunity.
Yeah.
Right?
I might just have to make me a little green stripy border on my white card base.
That's true. And that's the beauty of all of these kinds of things.
It is, because it's not like just because you see something a certain way that yours that you're making has to be that certain way.
That's right.
It doesn't have to be like anybody else's. It doesn't have to be like the example you saw on Pinterest. It just has to be yours, And if it has some semblance to that other one, that was your inspiration, that's great,
I agree.
That's the beauty of it. I think I'm going to tear a couple of leaves, or at least one, and see what it looks like, and then I'll know if I want to continue and do a couple more. I didn't do leaves on the morsel posy. I drew them on, so I just want to see what it'll look like. Ooh, I like it. Kind of cute.
It's always nice when you like what you do,
It is. And it doesn't have to be perfect, which is another wonderful thing.
Perfection is highly overrated, don't you think?
Absolutely. I just said that the other day. I said those little words in a comment on, I don't remember which comment it was, which post it was, but I think it was in my Facebook group. But yeah, it is. Perfection is overrated. I almost want to say imperfection is the new perfect.
Yeah, it's true.
Imperfect is the new perfect.
Yeah.
Because it's true. It does not have to be perfect. And what is perfect anyway? I mean,
boring.
Something that you see that you think is perfect is just that person's version of that thing.
Right. Yeah.
Really.
Very true.
And somebody else may look at that exact same thing and not think it's perfect at all.
Yeah, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right?
Exactly. It's all subjective.
Yeah, it is.
So you do what you like, and that's what's important. You do what you like, because somebody else may like it, but they may not. But if you like it, that's all that matters.
And I'm going to add a few little birds up in the sky just because I have to.
If you can.
Because I'm the boss of my card.
That's right.
So just a few little birds up there. And so far this is where I am at this point. So just from a distance you can see it, even though I'm not showing it up close at the moment. You can see it from afar.
Loving it. Love the birds too. Cute touch.
And then I'm going to use a gray marker, if I can find one in here. I'm going to use a gray marker. This is warm gray. And I'm going to put just a little bit of shadow around the stems.
Oh, I was just saying, thinking the same thing. I'm going to outline mine a little bit,
Oh, there you go.
just a little bit on the stems with a really
So
fine
Barbara
point.
Clark says she tore leaves and stems out of her green paper, but they need something more. So what would you suggest? Outlining or something?
She tore leaves out, you said?
Yeah, she tore leaves and stems from the green paper, but she said they need
Okay.
something more.
Okay. Did you crinkle those up too? They would look cute crinkled like the flowers, and then maybe edged with the ink or the dark ink.
Yes, so you could edge them. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And if you get them on the page and you don't like it still, you could add some doodling even to the inside of the leaves. You could add dots or outline like on the inside if they're raised up off the, like the wrinkly and raised up. You could doodle on the inside of the leaves and the stem. Stripes are always cute and whimsical. Stripes and dots.
So there's some ideas. I think it's fun to see how you can take the technique and just do something with it, make something out of it. I know that you do that on a lot of those little pages. You actually create something with it, but it's fun to just see, okay, so you can actually make this really fun little card to send to somebody.
Absolutely.
And besides that, it's fun to just play with it and just see how things turn out.
I agree.
And if things don't come out exactly the way you like them, let them sit a little bit, come back to it, and, add a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
When in doubt, dot. That's my philosophy.
Absolutely. Me too. Love making dots.
So we are getting close to winding it up, don't you think? Or we got more steps to this?
I think so. I think we're getting down to the nitty gritty.
So were you planning to add a sentiment or anything to this, or do you know?
Yes, you can definitely do that.
Uh-huh.
I sometimes will print things out on the computer to attach. Um, Sometimes I will write. Sometimes I will take words from magazines and use those. Um, I will share two that I thought about before we came on today.
Uh-huh.
Um, Save your little tags from just anything you buy, like clothing tags, any kind of little tags that are attached to stuff you buy with those little plastic cords. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like price tag cords.
Right. Yeah.
And I took these last night in case I wanted to use one today. I haven't decided yet, but I just gessoed. So I put a couple of coats of gesso on both sides. And then you can take washi tape and cover up, lay it in strips and cover up these little tags.
Ah.
And then you can glue a sentiment on top, like cut something out that you printed from the computer or words from magazines, like I said before. You can use them as gift tags. I've used that before and taken one of my letter stickers, those thickers, letter stickers, and just placed the thick alphabet on top of the washi covered tag.
Cool.
And it makes the cutest little tag.
Nice.
So you can even put something like that on the front of a card, if it's small enough, if you can work in the size of it and everything.
You got some great ideas, my friend. Great ideas.
Well, thanks. It's fun playing,
It is.
And doing something different.
Yeah.
Too. You don't have to run out and buy a gift tag on a gift bag.
And you're recycling.
Clothes tags. Yeah.
And you're just recycling something, which is kind of fun to do too.
Absolutely. Makes all the difference. And it's just fun. It gives you fun, relaxing playtime too.
Yeah. Playing is a good thing. That is one thing that is not highly overrated.
That's true.
Play is not overrated, unlike perfection, which is highly.
Yes, highly. Oh, I remembered the thing I was going to say a
Okay.
while ago that I forgot.
Yeah.
We were talking about the art box in the bedroom when I was little.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing I loved so much, my mom put these in those boxes, and then she had to keep buying them for me. Were those little activity books? Do you remember those
Yeah.
from
Mm-hmm.
years ago? Activity books,
Yep.
and they were like the size of your card,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
they folded up. I mean, opened upwards with the hinge on the top or the
Mm-hmm.
crease on the top,
Yeah.
and they were full of puzzles and dot to dots
Mm-hmm.
and mazes, and all those things. And
Mm-hmm.
I literally loved them. I sat for hours and hours and hours
Doing
playing in
those.
those little activity books.
Your
Yes, I
mom
did.
was no dummy, was she?
Nope.
She knew.
She figured it out.
Yes, she did. Ah, that's fun. It's
Yeah.
really great. I was in Barnes and Noble the other day, and there was a card, or I was looking in the magazines, and they had, along with a jillion color books, they
Yeah.
also had a dot-to-dot color book, or dot-to-dot book in the adult section. I was like, that
Yes, I saw that back
that
in
was
there.
great.
Like, what?
Yeah, that's exactly my response. What?
I can understand the coloring book thing,
Right.
but I don't quite get the dot to dot thing, but that may just be me.
I think I think a whole lot of it is that people have become so uptight about
Yeah,
so much that
relaxing.
those things just give them an excuse to be,
A kid again, maybe.
yeah, or maybe it's to be the kid that they never were to start with,
Maybe. Could be.
because that happens with people.
It'll certainly take you away from things, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Just take you away. Someplace else for a while.
Okay, now I'm not going to promise that this is my best work of art because I don't do, I may do more on this later. But it's hard to do your best work when you're live on stream.
No kidding.
And I've done it for a long time, and it never is my best work. However, doesn't stop me from doing it.
That's
No,
right.
no, it doesn't. And
Right.
I'm going to do what I always tell everybody else. That is, I'm going to put my name on it, sign it, and I'm going to stamp the back of it. Let's see, how do I want to put my name here? Maybe right here. And then I'm going to call mine finished. I don't know. What do you think? How's yours coming over there, Kat?
It's just about done. I'm going to attach these leaves real quick. I just finished them up.
So do you guys, any of you in the chat, have any last questions for Kat? Well, we're going to not let her go too quick, but, be thinking if you have anything else you want to ask her. Ian says, that's how I draw faces. Key point, dot to dot drawing. Interesting.
Huh.
Interesting.
That is cool.
Okay, so here's what I ended up with, and I'll show it to you up close here in just a minute, but just so you guys can kind of see. From a distance, you get the overall effect. Sometimes it really helps to see it from a distance. You can see better.
Mm-hmm. And what is that at the bottom? I couldn't read.
I'm gonna make it put
okay.
a side by side so you can see a little bit better. Okay, here you go. It says discover.
Okay, now I see it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
purple.
Yeah.
Very cute.
And there's cats. Oh, love your curly cues. It's great. I'm gonna have to go back and add some of those. I'm gonna have to copy that. That's cute. I like those curly bits.
And I'm going to add some stickles in the center of my flowers, which I haven't done yet.
Okay, kids, there we go. So anybody have any other questions? Hello, Artie Farty Fairy Joanne.
Hey, Joanne. Hey. Glad you made it.
So that's a very fast version of one of Kat's mixed media morsels, folks. That is like
Yeah.
That is like creating a mixed media morsel on steroids we just did. You
Yep.
can find Kat online. If you just look in the description box below the video, you'll see all of her links. So they are below the video. And somebody wants to know, when is the next mixed media morsel? Do you know?
I don't. Probably sometime next week.
Maybe sometime next week. Maybe.
Yep.
We don't know for
Probably.
sure, but it could be.
More than likely, but don't hold me to it. But probably. I mean, I'm usually about a week and a half, around.
It just depends on what you have going on in your life, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And I said from the get-go, that I was going to do these, and I couldn't make a lot of promises, but just do the best I could, with getting them done. And we've been working it out pretty well, I think.
You've been doing great. And Terry wants to know, how many more morsels do you have planned? Do you have any idea about that?
I don't have a plan. I didn't have a plan from the beginning. I didn't plan to ever start this.
Yeah. She doesn't have a plan because she didn't intend to start. She didn't know what it was going to be named. She wasn't going to do it. And here you go. 27 or so techniques later,
Yeah.
she's doing it, and and everybody it's caught on like wildfire, and people and I know that there's some other things coming down the pike because we chatted about a couple of them. I'm going to hold her feet to the fire.
She is.
Okay. So anything else that everybody's saying? It's great to see your face, Kat.
Oh, thanks, guys. It's been fun to be here. I've been enjoying this.
She had to really get brave to come on camera.
You know it.
Yes, and that's okay. That's okay.
But you made it so much easier, Barb. So thank you very
Oh,
much.
good. Well, I really appreciate you coming. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today on Friday. I almost said Saturday. What's wrong with me? It's a long week.
Don't jump too far ahead.
That's right. So thanks so much for joining me today, everybody, and thank you, Kat. I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate all of the viewers. We had a great, nice, big audience today that were here, and some of them that played around with us. And if you have things that you would like to share with us, you can do a couple of things. You can tweet your photos. If you can just snap a photo with your phone or something, you can tweet it at Barb Owen Designs. That's to me. And you can also share it with Kat on her Facebook page. And
Got Twitter now too.
And Kat has Twitter now. Yeah. It's Cat Hand Art.
Cat Hand Art.
At Cat Hand Art. So you can tweet photos to Kat as well. In fact, you can get us both in one go if you just put at Barb Owen Designs, and right beside it put at Cat Hand Art. Put it in the same one, put the picture on, and it'll get to both of us, right? Just like that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them, guys.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Okay, we're going to go because it's been a great day, and I appreciate it so much. So thanks to everybody. Thank you, Kat, and I will see you next week on the next edition of Drama Free Friday on HowToGetCreative.com. See you guys later. Bye. Thanks, Kat.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, bye, everybody. I will see you next week. Got to figure out where my mouse is. I lost my mouse, folks. It's bad news when you lose your mouse.